Slicing toward the pesky pole down the line. It's going to be out of here. Line down the right field line toward the pesky pole. Leaping up, and that ball is gone. That's a home run. A lot of our Nesson team as well. High fly down the right field line, headed toward the pesky pole. That one tucked in, and that ball is going to be against the wall and into second base. Number retired, and now Rafael Devers trying to retire that baseball inside the pesky pole.
Welcome to another episode of the Pesky Podcast. I'm your host, the Ritt. With me is the OG George Sutherland, and with us today we have the greatest all-female and the first all-female broadcast combination. Ms. Riley Pay, Emma Tiedemann.
Nailed it.
Oh, yes.
Good job.
You have no idea. I get guests on here, and I'm like, I got to ask you beforehand, before I don't sound like an idiot. And I forgot to ask you, but I'm like, let's just go for it. And I was perfect.
It was good.
So,
Confidence.
So let's start off with you ladies. I've got to ask. Let's start with Riley. Then we're just go back and forth. What got you into broadcasting, and what kind of drove you, to wanting to do what?
Yeah, I took a little bit of an unconventional path to the broadcast booth. It wasn't ever something that I thought I would end up doing. I always loved the game of baseball, and I always wanted to be around it from when I was young. It was the highlights of all of our family trips. So I was like, how many major league parks can I cross off my bucket list? And keeping that going still. So it's always been something that I've loved. And I knew that I wanted to work in baseball. That was always the common denominator for me. So I started interning throughout my time in college. I just graduated from UNLV this past year in May, and started interning my junior year, going into my junior year of college with the Northwoods League, a collegiate baseball league as well, and applied to be a marketing intern and an MC there. And was always kind of drawn to the broadcast aspect as well. I got to shadow some of our broadcasters, and I think that's when I started to think of that as something that was interesting to me. Came home and started interning with UNLV athletics, and kind of got to do everything, and got my hand in a little bit of everything with our baseball team. Got to PA for them and do all the behind the scenes work, and then started broadcasting with our student radio station here. From there, ended up with the Cape Cod Baseball League, going into my senior year of college. And that is where my play-by-play beginnings happened, if you would. I was originally supposed to do just all-encompassing team reporting and sideline reporting, and had two other broadcast partners as well, and did some color commentary early on. And then they looked at me one day, and really on the spot, I remember the game really early on into the season. I was already at the game, and they turned to me and said, what do you think you do the middle innings of play-by-play today? No preparation, just told me then and there. As most broadcasters know, it's kind of a nightmare. You want to be prepared in some sense for the game, but I said yes, and I think it surprised everybody because no other girls had really said yes before then. So I said yes, did the middle innings, and after that, the rest is kind of history. Just kept it going, loved it a lot, and I think what drew me to play-by-play is that it was the most challenging thing for me, and so that was something that always kept me going. I was like, I want to get better at this. I want to kind of conquer it and continue to improve at it every day. It was the most challenging by far. So it's like, this is it. I love the challenge, and I continued that the whole summer, and then saw the posting after the fact for the Portland SeaDawgs, and was very familiar with Emma's work, and was so excited at the idea of getting to work with her and just the quality of a broadcaster that she was. And it was just the icing on the cake that she was also a female broadcaster. So it's been the perfect road, very unconventional, but really lucky to be with the SeaDawgs.
Oh, man. Emma?
So my road started 15 years ago, actually, this year. Growing up, I loved animals. I actually wanted to be a veterinarian until my sophomore year of high school. I was realizing that I was really bad at math and science, like this girl needs tutoring bad kind of thing. And it was around that time too, I got lucky. My grandfather was a broadcaster for 60 years in the Dallas area where we grew up. And he was at the time having some students from the University of North Texas call games with him. And I would go and I would score basketball games for him, kind of be his spotter, if you will. Just, I didn't really have a role. I just helped him keep score and realize who was on the court and stuff. And so one of the days his students couldn't make it, and kind of like Riley, he turned to me and said, "Hey, I have an extra headset today and you know basketball really well. How about we try this?" And I was like, "Well, okay, but what can go wrong, right?" And I absolutely fell in love with it. I had been playing basketball, playing sports since basically before I could walk. Played every sport growing up, so it was just kind of an easy transition into the calling games and then analyzing on the spot, and then talking with coaches and players post game. It was just a dream for me. So I've been doing it ever since. When I went to college at the University of Missouri, I originally thought I wanted to work for a network and call games all year long. And so when I was getting later, my junior year, I was realizing baseball was actually my weakest sport play-by-play wise. So like Riley, I did the summer collegiate route. I actually went the complete opposite direction, actually, to Alaska, and spent a summer in the Alaska Baseball League. And that's where I fell in love with working in baseball, day in, day out, the daily grind, showing up first thing in the morning, staying till late at night. I would like to say until the sun's, until it's dark outside, but the sun in Alaska. Yeah. So and the bus rides, I've, love those, seeing the different parts of Alaska and everything. So that's when my career kind of pivoted towards baseball. And I kind of realized that, this is what I want to do every day for the next, 50 years of my life. And so my ultimate goal is to be a major league broadcaster one day. So all of my career moves have centered around that goal. So went from Alaska to another summer collegiate league in Oregon, then went into professional baseball with St. Paul, and then in Lexington. And then when the Portland job opened up to take over for Mike Antonellis, Portland has one of the best reputations in minor league baseball. Couldn't pass it up. I figured I wasn't going to get the job because everyone was going to apply, but here I am. So very happy to be in Portland. And of course, I have Riley in the booth this last season. It was great.
Oh, man. So, George, you want to start it off?
Sure. I mean, both of you, I know, Emma, you've been around for about 3 seasons now. You had to wait a year because COVID kind of put you on the sidelines. But, both of you, how do you like working in Portland and working in Maine? It's a little bit different, Riley. I mean, it's not Las Vegas, but we think it's better,
Yeah, it's West Coast, Best Coast. I don't know. It's loosely used. I love the East Coast, and I have family from there growing up as well. So I was always kind of around the Maryland area. Loved it a ton. Portland is, I think, obviously a biased opinion, but it's a great minor league city. There's so much to do. Downtown is beautiful. All the beaches is fantastic, and I think, especially for the Red Sox system, you're so close to Boston that you really feel that from the fan base in Portland. So really lucky, kind of the placement of the team as well, because you get to feel the Boston fan base even at the minor league level, which is really neat.
Yeah, I second that. I was actually really nervous after waiting of my first year of 2020 of not having baseball, because I know how passionate Boston fans are. I was like, I'm from Texas. I was raised a Rangers fan, which hopefully tonight's the night. And I'm coming into New England, and, I wasn't raised a Red Sox fan, but, the people in Portland are absolutely like the kindest people you'll ever meet. I think that it was different getting to know Portland and getting to know Maine during the pandemic. And just the fact that they, were so welcoming. I could ask anybody, a stranger off the street, where should I pick up dinner that night? I'd have a list of 5 suggestions and then 5 more for breakfast the next morning. I mean, these people are so nice, and the fans are fantastic. They sometimes know more about the players than we do, and just the passion is incredible, and you can see it in our attendance numbers with all these sold out games and stuff. It's just an incredible baseball town, and to see the support of the SeaDawgs and the Red Sox is just awesome day in and day out.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, George.
I'm sorry, I was going to follow up. So have you got in the front office to spring for dinner at DeMillo's yet?
Haven't been there yet, but Emma has a great radio ad read about it, so I know everything about it. Just haven't been.
Well, maybe we'll just start the ball rolling now, so that when the season starts, they'll listen to it and go, "Oh yeah, they kind of put us on the spot. We should be taking out to DeMillo's for dinner."
I could get behind that.
Okay, we'll start lobbying for that.
Perfect.
So, you mentioned about the attendance. This team this past year had some crazy players on it. All the fans, our whole pipe system pretty much is in AA right now. And, you go from Marcelo Meyer, Nick York to Kyle Teal and Roman Anthony, which I've got his shirt on, the Roman Empire. So, but no, it's like, so what is it like to, have the energy of the crowd with the product on the field and have to put it all together to put it out for a broadcast? Whichever you two, want to take it.
I think the crowd is something that adds, I think, so much to the broadcast. And Riley can attest to this, of how important I find the crowd mic, and putting it out every night and making sure the levels are great, so we can accurately describe and have the crowd describe how into the game they were, whether it was walk-offs like Steven Scott's walk-off home run on his birthday, and Marcelo Meyer's first at bat at Hadlock Field. I think that having the crowd energy behind, a guy in AA like Marcelo or Roman, coming to the plate, and the fans knowing who they are, and you can hear that applause, is really special. I think last time we really saw that was with Tristan Casas in 2021. But when Marcelo came to the plate for the first time at Hadlock this season, these fans knew exactly who this guy was. But I think it just adds a very extra special element to the broadcast every night to see these guys play. I think, this last season is not one we'll take for granted, knowing we had so many top prospects. And I think we saw quite a few future major leaguers, whether they're with Boston or with other clubs. And I think, in 5 or 10 years time, we'll look back and be like, whew, that 2023 team was stacked. And I think we won't realize just how good they were until we can kind of look back and see those MLB careers and see how they've panned out. So I think that it just makes our job extra exciting every night, putting on the headset and being like, this could be quite a game for somebody. Not, whether it's Nick York's another defensive gem, at second base, or, Marcelo feeling a ball behind second base and making it look like so easy. And then having Kyle and Roman join us late in the season. I mean, this was kind of a pinch me sort of season with the kind of talent we have with Portland.
Yeah. So I've sit there and talked to Tyler Murray. He broadcasts for the AAA team, and seen him at games, seeing what his process is and stuff. What's your guys' game set mindset going into every day? Because every day is different depending on what happened the night before. And, you never really know in minor league games. A person might be there one day, gets called up, and, you have a whole batch of new kids.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just a testament to the idea of broadcast. You just always have to expect the unexpected in a sense. So preseason, you try and get to know as many of the prospects as you can and kind of foreshadow what you think the season will look like, but you never really know what you're going to get. So it's just kind of, from a notes standpoint, having a little bit of everything ready to go and being ready for anything that can happen. Just having like a kind of complete understanding of the system and then expecting that something completely different can happen another day, which is also part of the exciting part too, as far as like rehab assignments. That's always exciting. You can't prep for those at all, but you're really excited when they do come. It's like another holiday to every game, really.
Yeah, and I think, throughout the season too, you get to know the guys, what has happened the series against Binghamton, and how our hitters have performed against certain pitchers, and you kind of have that feeling. And that stuff for me, it's sometimes I'll write it down. A lot of it is just I see a lot of baseball and I can just remember this, and that will spark some conversations between Riley and I. But I think it's also just asking the players questions. Nick York, for example, changed his batting stance late in the season, and Riley pointed that out. Tyler Dearden changed his during the All-Star break and then started going off. And, I just walked up to him and said, "Hey, are you dipping your left shoulder a little bit more?" And it led to a whole conversation about his, just approach in the batter's box before the pitcher even comes set, really. And it's a timing thing versus Nick York's was a totally different thing of making sure he got his hands around a little bit faster. And so, it's those types of things of you have to constantly be talking to the players because their game changes and evolves, and the broadcast should too. So we can, better relay what's going on the field instead of saying, oh, Nick York now with the lower, the hands a little bit lower in the batting stance versus over the head. We should know why. And I think that asking the players just what's going on, that helps the broadcast and it helps us as baseball fans too, because, Riley and I haven't played professional baseball. A lot of broadcasters haven't, and it makes us, know a little bit more about the sport.
Yeah, I know one thing about I love podcasting when I get to talk to them is the relationships that you build with the players and stuff, and you watch them on the journey, and you pick up key things that they're doing that they didn't do, and it just most people might not recognize those. And then just like you said with Tyler, when Tyler was on the show, he was great. He was a great guy. We got to talk about a lot of good things. But when you come up to him like, hey, you're dipping your shoulder a little bit more, he's like, oh, wow, you're paying attention. Like, most people don't pay attention, and it's those small things that you see. It makes it a lot better for the game. So this is going to lead up to a question that I'm dying to ask. What is it like for two female broadcasters to be in a male-dominated broadcast, situation around the league? And is there more pressure, you think, on you guys broadcasting to, stand out more?
That's a great question. And I would say yes, in the sense that you just want to do justice to the girls that follow and you want to create that opportunity for them. But at the same point, I wouldn't say that there's any pressure at all, because really some of the most influential people in my broadcast career have all been men that I've worked with, and they've been very helpful in like breeding that confidence in you, if you would. They're some of my biggest fans, and you never really feel that pressure of being a female in the industry. And I really hadn't thought about it as much as I have these past couple months, just with all of the excitement of this booth. You don't really think about it because it's just another day for you doing a broadcast. So I wouldn't say that there's any pressure in that sense, but you definitely want to do justice to the girls that are coming after you and will continue on in the profession.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, my first minor league broadcast in 2018, I felt very nervous because I was thinking, I was like, oh, I can't screw this up because I'm going to screw it up for women, and like felt the weight of our gender on my shoulders. And I was like, no. I'm supposed to be here. I've earned this job. I'm good at my job. And, it's going to be fine. And so I kind of went about those couple of seasons just, I'm just a broadcaster. I just happen to be female, happen to get a little bit more attention because of that. But I didn't really kind of lean into the fact that, this is a very unique situation until we had all of the female broadcasters at the time together for an event in Lexington in actually 2020 in February. And kind of realized, at that time, 142 teams, there was only 6 of us. And unfortunately, that number has kind of dwindled a little bit in recent years. But now it's kind of like, no, I should kind of walk around and realize that I am a female broadcaster, be proud of it, because there are girls that are looking up to us. And there are females that want to do this job and follow us on social media and see, oh, that actually looks really cool to do. Maybe I want to be in play-by-play. So I kind of wear it as almost a badge of honor at this point, just because I've worked so hard to get here. And it's cool that, we have other women like Riley coming up, who are going to take our jobs one day. And hopefully there's many more coming up as well.
Who are some people that you look up to or, ask advice for? Because there's some great, TCs up there, on at Fenway. One of my favorites is I love the energy Papelbon brings. So so who are some inspirations, and who do you guys go to when you need some advice or have questions?
Well, I know this is a Boston podcast. I'm sorry ahead of time, but she is from Boston. But Susan Waldman with the Yankees, she's absolutely incredible, has been so supportive, and she's had it harder than anyone else in this industry. You can look up old interviews with her, everything that she had to go through just to kind of just earn her way in the Yankees booth. It's sad that she did, but it's incredible that she's still around and still calling games with John. And so, yeah, she's definitely a person, Melanie Newman with the Orioles, and then also the other women in minor league baseball right now, Jill Guerin, Emily Messina, always a text message away, Riley now too. But, it's great to kind of see how there is a small group of people who understand exactly what it's like to be quite the minority in this business. So they're only a text message away, which is great. But yeah, it's good to kind of have that group.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm especially lucky. And that was something that I thought about a lot with the Portland job, was what like a cool experience to get to learn from Emma. That was a huge drawing factor for me, just because you think about it and it's never really a thought that you'll get to work with another female broadcaster. And so my thought process was, this is so cool that I'll get to ask her questions and have her as a mentor for things that I want to accomplish one day. And she's already been through all of that. So she knows what I'm thinking, and she's one step ahead, and a really great teacher in that sense. So I definitely go to her the most, like she said. And she's been the best teacher all season long, just with little things throughout the broadcast, throughout the office hours as well. She's the best. Can't say enough great things. So I'm very lucky to have her as a coworker as well. And then also a unique experience to one of my broadcast partners that kind of believed in me to start the play-by-play side of things in Cape Cod is also with the Reading Fightin' Phils in the Eastern League. Now he got his job around the same time that I did, and he just went full-time with them. So it was really cool this season to have him as another friend to get to talk to and kind of bounce ideas off of. And he's been the most supportive as well. Him and my other broadcast partner as well, Tim and Jake, they've been great and have helped me a ton just in the first season of minor league baseball, because that is a different situation all in itself. So it's great to have him as well throughout this year.
George?
Yeah, this is a two-part question, kind of opposite sides of the coin. First, your biggest challenge that you face to get up and go out and do a broadcast every day. And then the other side of that is, what did you think it was going to be unbelievably hard that turned out to be easy?
Ooh. That's a really good question. No one's asked that before. Riley, do you have one?
I would say for the first part of just the broadcasting side of things is being okay with the idea of not being perfect. That was something that took some time for me to adjust to. I always like to put my best work out there, but with broadcast, you just really never know what's going to happen every day. And you can be as prepped as ever, and it could go any which way. So you just have to be okay with knowing that every broadcast is not going to be perfect. You're going to listen to it back and wish that you used a different word at a certain point, or just the smallest details that nobody else would notice, but you do. And it's just realizing that you have to be okay with not being perfect, even though you are always your harshest critic. And then to your second point, something that wasn't as hard as I thought it would be was probably just the 6 days a week of a minor league schedule. When you think about it, you think that it sounds near impossible, but it actually turned out while it is really hard, I will tell you that spacing out your laundry days and things like that, the small things is what you think about. But 6 days is also really fun because you get to watch baseball 6 days a week. So who can complain about that? So it just the time management, but it ended up working out really great too.
Cool.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I thought was going to be the hardest, but turns out to be the easiest, is the length of schedule. 138 games is significant, but after every season, I find myself like, oh, I want like 100 more. Maybe a week off, but I just love going to the ballpark every single day, and all the other stuff besides the broadcast. Yes, that can get pretty monotonous, like the game notes and doing all of that stuff, but at the end of the night, you get to call a game. You can ask my husband. I'm not a good person to talk to the 2 weeks after the season is over, because I'm just so sad. I literally am depressed because you go home at 5:00 every day. In May, the sun is basically setting at that time anyway, in September. So you're just like, what are we doing? And I think that's the feeling that, if you find your passion, then that's how you should be feeling, when your passion has to come to an end for a certain period of time. So that was one thing that, at the end of the season, it's always bittersweet because, I get to spend more time with my dog, my husband, I guess. But my one true love, it ends and is on hiatus. And now we have to go to a dark winter. But can you ask the first question again? I want to make sure I answer it correctly.
No, it's your biggest challenge.
Biggest challenge. I think day in and day out, I think it's finding great content for this game notes every day. Riley can attest this. We put out the game notes every single day, and I think that diving in as deep as we wanted into the stats and streaks and all that kind of stuff could be a little bit challenging with our day-to-day responsibilities. So I think it's the challenge of putting those notes together every single day, but actually it helps us in the broadcast at the end of the night. But those daily game notes.
So name a moment where you just, it happened and you exploded like out of your seat. Like, this is amazing.
We've been lucky to have quite a few this season. I feel like there's so many, like you mentioned, with all of the prospects that we've gotten. It seems like every day is something crazy exciting. I'll say Marcelo Meyer's first home run at Hadlock Field was definitely one of them. And his swing is everything that people write about. It's beautiful, and Boston fans should be excited. So that was exciting too, because you just watch it and the fans knew too. And I got to call that one, and I just sat there for a second. I was like, whoa, just one of those crazy broadcast moments. And then I think for the last game of this season as well, that is by far probably my favorite game I've ever been a part of. 24-2, the final score. You had a little bit of everything. Records on records and home runs, and it was crazy. And you just sit there, and I looked at her and I was like, whoa, we're still going. It's only the 6th inning right now. So that is probably for sure my most exciting game this season. It was the best.
The almost never ending game for the final game of the season.
Yeah.
I think that I mentioned it earlier. I think Steven Scott's walk-off home run on his birthday, that was pretty epic. His second home run of the night. we had a walk-off with Corey Rozier in the 11th inning. He broke for home, and honestly, I botched the call. Like, full disclosure, we're talking about mistakes. Like, I botched that call. But I think it was one of those genuine moments of, it's like, oh crap, he's going for it. And then he was safe. Like, it came from a genuine place of why I botched the call, because it was just one of those like, oh, here we go. Is he going to make it? But it's Corey Rozier. He has unreal speed. So of course he's going to beat any kind of throw to the plate. And then also we had to talk about the 2 no-hitters with CJ Liu, the 7th inning. And then the Gonzalez, Chulucci, and Guerrero combined no-hitter at Hadlock. I mean, how you're lucky enough to get 1 no-hitter, or even you can sniff a no-hitter in a season, but to get 2, I mean, I'm sweating just thinking about it, honestly, like the 2 no-hitters. It was just 2 incredible baseball feats in one season. I mean, it probably won't ever happen again. But yeah, those would be the highlights for sure.
Oh, I can't believe you guys didn't mention Trevor's story when he was there.
That too.
And I was so disappointed because DC and myself, we have press passes for when they play the Rail Riders, because I live in Pennsylvania, so does DC. So I know Trevor's story's coming up, for rehab assignment. I'm like, uh-oh, is he going to come here? And then all of a sudden, George and I are, podcasting, and then DC sends me the text message, story's going to Portland. I was so disappointed.
Yeah, he was depressed. It was bad.
I was like, and then to see him like tear it up like down in Portland for the the stretch, I'm like, man, that could have been me watching you.
You should have come to Portland. What are you doing?
Well, that's just a little bit further drive for me. But So, Georgia, anything else then?
Yeah, I mean, I try to go to as many games as I can. I live in Biddeford, so I try to come up with as often as I can. Can you describe to the people out there who are listening what the environment is like at Hadlock? It is a very unique environment. It's a very cozy stadium, very family friendly. Can you just kind of describe that? Because from your perspective, because you're sitting up in the broadcast booth, which is up there, and in the cooler weather, it's you kind of can't escape from the winds coming in off the water. So, can you just kind of explain that to people? Because I think it's one of the unique aspects of that team.
Yeah, I think Hadlock Field is one of those places where you can genuinely leave your worries and your problems outside of the stadium at the gates. Because once you walk in, you're greeted by plenty of staff members. Slugger the SeaDawg, our Hall of Fame mascot, by the way, the only minor league mascot in the Mascot Hall of Fame. He would want me to, make sure I got that in. But yeah, Hadlock Field is over 30 years old now, so you don't have the open concourse anymore, which, like you said, on those windy nights is a little bit nice because you can have some break from the wind if it's a little bit chilly in April or September. But it's such a, man, how do I even describe Hadlock? It's so special because it feels so small. But the people are so nice. And you're always greeted by your usher who is smiling and knows exactly how to help you. The people in your section are typically a good majority are season ticket holders who just love to share the SeaDawgs kind of fun with visitors. And then you'll see our Slugger the SeaDawg do his skit, which he is still the only mascot that I've ever seen that has a unique skit on the field every single night. And he also has his trash monster friends, which are other mascots that walk around. I don't even know really how to describe them. They kind of look like big fish, but they wear Crocs for shoes. Google them for a better image. But it's truly a family friendly atmosphere. I mean, you'll see kids running around without their parents because their parents just want to sit and watch the game. Kids will run around trying for autographs or foul balls. But you just kind of feel like it's a personal experience for you whenever you go, and you feel extremely special because the staff is so kind. They're so genuine, and you just kind of sit back. It's a very kind of traditional experience, I would say. We don't play a lot of the sound effects that you'll hear in other ballparks. We don't play a ton on the video board during the game. just because from our perspective, this is baseball. And so it'll be a nice quiet night. You don't have the loud music or top 40 hits. You hear some really deep cuts from our DJ of music you've probably never heard before, or music you're like, wow, I haven't heard that since, in like 30 years. It's just such a fun atmosphere that any age can enjoy. And also, if you hate baseball, you'll enjoy it too. A lot of people will leave and they'll be like, I don't even know if the SeaDawgs won, but I had a SeaDawg biscuit and that's what I remember. So it's a special ballpark. I've been to every ballpark in the Eastern League just about now, and I can say it's hands down the best, one of the best experiences in all of minor league baseball.
Yeah, and I think on the contrary, the only really loud thing that you'll hear is the crowd, because it's nearly always a sold-out game, pretty close to it, and the fans are just something else. I had posted a couple of pictures on different stories throughout the season, and you see the whole seating bowl full, and my friends from back home were like, is this an everyday thing? Like, are there always that many people at the game? And there always really is that many people at the game, which is fantastic, and it just adds to the entire atmosphere. It's really exciting, and like she said with the crowd mic, you can hear it on that. They're great fans, and it's a great experience. The ushers are the best. Everybody's so kind, and exactly like she said, to echo, just a really family friendly and really fun environment.
So if you had any advice to any younger ladies that want to go out and be broadcasters, be interviewers, just to get into, baseball altogether, what advice would you give them?
I would say just keep going. You'll hear a lot of negativity. You'll hear no a lot, but just keep going and find out ways to get better. I think, I've spent nights, a Friday night on the side of a football field, broadcasting into my phone so I could practice football and get more reps for football. It wasn't going anywhere. It was just me. I would send it to my grandfather, who would critique that drive. I would read them back. I would do the next drive and try and get better. So I think it's always moving forward, always getting better. So then the next time someone can't tell you no. I think that has really been key in my career. And every time I've heard no, I've asked why. I've gone out and I've done that stuff. Whatever was missing from my resume, whatever it was, I went and I got better, went back and I said, okay, you can't say no anymore, because I am literally now the best person for this job. So I think it's just keep going and keep getting better every single day and find ways to get better, whether you are on the sideline broadcasting to nobody, or just trying to get reps or just trying to talk to people and practice interviewing. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I think
I personally love that hardest worker in the room mentality you have there.
Yeah, that's what you have to be in this industry.
Yeah, to build off of that as well, for me, I feel like say yes to everything. Every opportunity that comes your way, always say yes to those things, because it can help you years down the line. And it's just every opportunity teaches you something. You'll get to meet different people. You'll learn something new, and it just makes you a better not only broadcaster, but just person in general, because you'll have known like, oh, I know what it's like to pull the tarp with people. I know what the graphics design intern does. I know kind of a little bit of everything that goes on to make the baseball experience what it is. So say yes to everything and just be that team player, no matter what you're doing in your progression of your career as well. And just find a good support system as well, I think is a big thing for broadcasting and being in sports in general. Much like it's a team thing for the people on the field, it's a team behind the scenes as well. So find that support system and people that will help build you up and be along for the ride as well.
George, any final questions you want to ask?
No, I will say this, living in the area, I do get a chance to listen to you on WPEI, and I can give this a shameless plug for the station. And I'll tell you, when I go to a game and I'm down on the concourse, getting something to eat or drink, your voices carry very well in the concourse. They don't get lost, and I can actually follow the game because of it. It'll be up on the screen, because MILB will be on. But it's very easy to follow the game with the two of you doing the broadcast. I think you do an outstanding job, and as a fan of baseball and of Red Sox baseball and SeaDawgs baseball, it's a pleasure to listen to you both do the game. So
thank
Thank
you
you so much.
some of the best compliments. Thank you.
So the floor is yours, ladies. Let everybody know where they can reach out to you, and plug whatever you like.
Go ahead, Emma.
Okay. Well, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram @Emmateeds. I'm awful at social media, so I sometimes tweet and then I'll see you respond, and then I just am not on Twitter responding for like 2 weeks. So I try to do better about posting like baseball content and stuff, but honestly, I'm really bad. You can listen to our broadcasts 95.5, 95.9 WPEI, FM in Portland, the Portland area, or SeaDawgs.com. So that's our broadcast.
Yeah, same here. Twitter, Instagram, I try as well. Trying to get better in the off season, but same here. And then I also have a little reporting page that I put some clips on as well. But same as Emma. Twitter and Instagram, Riley Pay.
Okay, well, guys, sit there and check out our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Head on over to the shop. Get yourself the Roman Empire, representing Roman Anthony. We will be releasing CT shirt. He got his shirts, said he loved them. I can't wait for his content team to get that around. We're working with a couple other minor leaguers, so check out the site. You never know when we're going to drop them. So for the OG George Sutherland and myself, the Ritt, thanks for stepping by the Pesky Podcast.